Alright, let's talk about a game that didn't just define a genre, but created one, the original Twisted Metal for the PlayStation. Released back in 1995, it's a game that's managed to stay relevant even decades later, with its blend of chaotic combat, dark humor, and unforgettable characters. But the real question is Twisted Metal worth playing in 2025? Let me tell you, not only is it worth playing, but it's also a must-play. Let's break down why this classic is still a masterpiece. Imagine this. It's a cold, dark night in a post-apocalyptic Los Angeles, and you're driving a heavily armed vehicle through twisted streets, battling crazed opponents in a no-holds-barred deathmatch. That's the essence of Twisted Metal. From the very first match, you're hooked. The game drops you into this gritty dystopian world where the stakes couldn't be higher. Your prize? Anything you desire. Your risk? Certain death. This premise alone makes it a compelling experience, but it's the execution that sets it apart. First, let's talk about the gameplay. Even today, it's exhilarating. Whether you're firing missiles, setting traps, or ramming enemies off the map, every moment feels like pure, unfiltered chaos. And yet, it's controlled chaos. There's a strategy to the madness. You'll find yourself planning ambushes, conserving weapons, and mastering the unique abilities of your vehicle to outsmart your opponents. This balance of skill and mayhem is something modern games often struggle to achieve. Speaking of vehicles, let's not forget the iconic lineup. From Sweet Tooth's ice cream truck to Spectre's ghostly sports car, each vehicle comes with its own personality and unique playstyle. The game's roster isn't just a collection of cars, it's a lineup of characters, each with their own twisted backstory. These stories are dark, sometimes grotesque, but always fascinating. They give the game a sense of depth that you wouldn't expect from a vehicular combat title. You're not just playing a car, you're playing a character with a dream, no matter how twisted that dream may be. And the arenas. Absolute perfection. From the rooftops of skyscrapers to the sprawling freeways of LA, each map is a sandbox of destruction. They're filled with hidden paths, power-ups, and environmental hazards that keep the gameplay fresh. One moment, you're in a full-on firefight on the freeway. The next, you're ambushing an opponent with a well-placed missile from a rooftop. The level design encourages creativity and exploration, rewarding players who take risks. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Does the original Twisted Metal hold up graphically in 2025? Look, I'm not going to pretend it looks like a modern AAA game. The graphics are undeniably dated, but there's a charm to them. The blocky cars, pixelated explosions, and gritty textures create a distinct aesthetic that's part of the game's identity. It's like watching an old cult classic movie. It might not be polished, but it has a raw energy that's hard to replicate. What really makes Twisted Metal timeless, though, is its sense of fun. It's a game that doesn't take itself too seriously. The over-the-top violence, the dark humor, the ridiculous scenarios, it all combines to create an experience that's as entertaining now as it was back in the 90s. And with so many modern games focusing on realism and serious storytelling, Twisted Metal is a refreshing reminder of why we play games in the first place: to have fun. Playing Twisted Metal in 2025 also gives you a newfound appreciation for how influential it was. This game paved the way for an entire genre. Without it, we wouldn't have titles like Rocket League, Burnout, or even modern battle royales. It's a piece of gaming history, and revisiting it is like taking a time machine back to the golden age of creativity in gaming. So, why should you play Twisted Metal in 2025? Because it's more than just a game. It's an experience. It's a chaotic, adrenaline-fueled ride that's as engaging now as it was 30 years ago. Whether you're a nostalgic gamer revisiting an old favorite, or someone discovering it for the first time, Twisted Metal has something special to offer. And here's the thing, once you play it, you'll understand why it's still celebrated. You'll see the brilliance in its simplicity, the depth in its chaos, and the charm in its imperfections. It's a reminder of how games used to be: unfiltered, unapologetic, and unforgettable. So, do yourself a favor. Dust off that old PlayStation, grab a copy of Twisted Metal, and dive back into the carnage. Trust me, you won't regret it. In a world full of hyper-polished, overly serious games, Twisted Metal is the perfect antidote. It's not just a game, it's a legend. And legends never die.